In today's video, I'm going to talk about our philosophies on why we're overplanting our food forest, going heavier on the trees than may be advisable. And so this is really going to be about 2 new beds we made this weekend. And we planted out pretty heavily to fruit trees and some annuals, and then show a couple of other beds that are a little bit further along. So hope you enjoy. So this weekend was really focused on this area right here, making a couple of new beds, and really quite a bit of effort done in digging out the soil, because this is the first time in this yard that we've actually gotten like real legitimate soil in an area. A lot of this was mulch that was put down over the last year, but some of it was also just old wood and logs and other organic matter that had been pushed back here when the house was built. So really tried to dig that out. But these 2 beds, and really what we did was made 2 beds, or we at least completed 2 beds. This one and this one up here. These 2 beds have a little bit of added mulch to them, but mostly these are, I'll call them natural soil here. So I want to go through the thought process of how we planted these out, and just why we did what we did and what our thinking is. So this first bed that we did yesterday, this is a pretty densely packed bed. Here, this is Tuscan kale. Put in 2 Tuscan kales. A second one right there got eaten completely last night by some creature or another. This second one is looking pretty good still. Then 2 more kales over here. So 4 total kales on this side. Then going around the side of the bed, did a bunch of tomatoes. So these are bush tomatoes for the most part, so they're really not going to need staking, or at least I'm not planning on staking them. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 8 or 9 of those. Then around that, put in some fig trees. So actually put in 4 fig trees here. So 1 there, 2. So these are purple figs, and these are cuttings, rooted cuttings from a bigger plant that I had bought. Lastly, kind of the main star of the show there is a mammy sapote. So mammy sapote, and then a comfrey, a little baby comfrey next to it. So, and then in addition to that, there are papaya. This bed has a mammy sapote, which is a full fruit tree. It's got 2 papayas. There's a second papaya right there. And then it's got 4 fig trees. So in this bed of 12 feet by 8 feet, we have, I don't know, what's going to amount to 6 or 7 full-size trees. These aren't, none of these I think are going to get absolutely massive, but so the philosophy with this is that I would rather overplant these trees now and have far too many trees and have to cut them down or trim them back or deal with them in some other way 5 or 10 years from now, than have the opposite, where I have 2 sparsely planted trees and 5 or 6 or 10 years from now I'm kicking myself because we didn't plant enough trees. So we really want a food forest. We really want to have enough volume of food growing on this 1 acre that we can sustain ourselves. We may not get 100% of our food. There's some things in here that it's probably going to be a little bit challenging. We're aware of that. I don't think we're naive, but we really want a majority of our food to come from this yard. So overplant now, deal with the consequences later, rather than underplanting and then not having enough at some point in the future. So that's the first bed. So the second bed is a little bit simpler than the first. What's going on here is an apple banana. It's It's really the main banana sold and grown in Hawaii. So a little bit more tart than a Cavendish, which is probably the banana that most people are used to buying commercially, but something that we've grown to really enjoy. Then the other main tree is a star fruit. I think this is just a beautiful tree. Neither one of us are super big fans of star fruit, but I also think that that's potentially because we've never had it really ripe and delicious. So definitely looking forward to giving a star fruit another try. Then around it we have this is more of a perennial bed, or more of an annual bed. So it was a bunch of little baby green onions. There is a Malabar spinach. This guy doesn't look super fantastic. He's already gone to seed, but he was in a pot for a little bit too long. I think he'll do fine. I think he'll do really well in this bed. And then a basil, a few tomato plants. So tomatoes are sort of a recurring theme. I want to get to the point in life where I have too many tomatoes, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. And then comfrey. We always put comfrey next to our fruit trees. And then a few cauliflower. Oh, and the thing that we put in every single bed, papaya, non-GMO papaya. So this is a slightly older bed, but I think a pretty good example of what we're trying to go for here. So we have in this bed, it's a smaller bed, we've got a lot of stuff going on in here, and most of it is working really well. So we have a little, they call it a Hawaiian chili, but I think it's just as much of a Thai chili. Gives us a ton of chilies. Then we have a nice looking papaya. So this papaya is, I don't know, 6 months old in the ground here. Probably pretty close to starting to fruit. And then this is a moringa, and it is really finally just starting to establish. It was a little bit slow to go. And then another beautiful papaya. But really one of the stars, or the star of this bed right now, is a Roma tomato. So this Roma tomato has, at least for us, it's perennialized. So this thing overwintered and has just produced and produced. It just doesn't stop. It hasn't stopped for a year. It's been in the ground and kind of missed out. We actually had a ton of rain. I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent. We had a ton of rain, and this is what happens to bigger tomatoes here when we get a lot of rain. They burst. They get so full of water that they burst open. So there's a lot of tomatoes on this plant right now. Tons and tons. Again, fully organic. We kind of left this thing to its own devices. So really, we amended the bed when we put it in with some organic manure. I have fed it compost tea a few times and a little bit of comfrey tea, but other than that, not really doing a lot. Well, not doing anything. There's no fertilizer, no anything. There are quite a few weeds growing in here, which has been something I've been trying to fight against. But all in all, really happy with this bed. And this is sort of, I think, really an ideal bed for us. It's producing, it's actively and has been actively producing a lot of good food. Getting a lot of tomatoes, a lot of peppers from this. It'll eventually give us papaya. I have been eating the moringa quite a bit, and eventually I think this thing pretty soon is just gonna really take off. But this is just an example of really what we're going for in a lot of our beds. So the last thing I want to show is an update to this bed. I made this bed and I did a video of it a couple of, maybe 5 weeks ago, and I just want to show where it's progressed. So the design of this bed was a small bed and surrounded it with lemongrass and then put a basil, a tomato, and a papaya in it. And there's the basil doing nicely, the tomatoes doing nicely, and has some nice beautiful tomatoes on it, and then the papaya is really doing well. So really happy with this bed. A really simple, easy one. I think I did this one morning before I went to work, and really pleased with a lot of the results. So I'll leave it with this shot of what's going on. See quite a bit of sweet potato going on here. A lot of sweet potato, bananas, papaya, a lemon tree. This is a Myers, improved Myers with some nice lemons on it. So pretty great way to live life. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to keep on doing these types of videos because this is the way we live our life, and for those that have similar interests, I hope you enjoy. Bye-bye.